Hello, this is Dennis McDonald with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can get us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com. This is a Whale telephone. The customer that sent this telephone in, Helen, is from Florida. The nose on this telephone, on the first video I showed you, the nose, this Whale was dropped, and the nose was broken right in this area. And the piece was glued back in, but it did not fit back into position very well. So what happened was we had to do a little work on that and do a little body work. And these emery boards here are great for smoothing things out and getting your body work done. And sometimes you have to put a little body putty in these. Sometimes you can use a little epoxy. Sometimes you can take little pieces of plastic the same color, and you can melt them in with a soldering iron and kind of smooth them out, and then sand them down and make them look good and polish them out and put a little wax on it. So we got this nose nice and smooth now, and I think it's going to be okay. I think that looks good. So now the other thing that I want to show you is we want to take the Whale down, and we want to work on the PC board a little bit. I want to get some of the connections that I found soldered up, and so we'll get to that right now. Let's do that. I'll show you real quick what we've got. I like to go in and resolder everything that looks a little loose from the drop when the Whale got dropped on its nose. And you have to watch the legs on these transformers. You got to make sure that they're in the hole and that they don't back out, because it's a little heavier than normal components. We want to get some of these other solder points while we're at it. Just kind of work our way up the board here and make sure nothing backs out when you're soldering. You don't want any of these components backing out on you, which can happen. So you gotta kind of feel with your soldering gun end and make sure that the leg is still through the hole. And so that kind of takes care of some of the parts that I didn't like. We'll get a couple more here while I'm in here. And so whatever doesn't look good, you just want to touch up. And it's not always just components that have maybe broke away from the board a little bit, or the solder doesn't look good from the fall. This can be from the factory too. When this telephone was made, sometimes they don't solder it well, or the solder doesn't hold up good. So that kind of takes care of that. So let's do this. Let's get the board back in, and we're going to put the Whale together here. And I'm just going to do it loosely because I always like to do final checks on everything. And we're gonna kind of test this Whale out a little bit. This Whale has a 9-volt battery. I know what I want to show you before we do that. This is what I wanted to show you about components. These components, like this transformer here. This transformer is for this speaker. It's for the audio section. This Whale has like a whale sound when the telephone rings. So this transformer is heavier, and so is the speaker. And when this whale fell on its nose here, this stuff likes to pull up off the board, and then the speaker actually broke out. So we had to remount the speaker. Things like capacitors that stand up off the board here, and transistors. You want to check everything like that that's in this capacitor. You want to check that stuff first, because that's stuff that will come up off the board. The larger parts like this ring cycle capacitor right here. You want to check all that. I resoldered all that. They can break away from the board when the phone gets dropped. And this phone may have very well been dropped more than one time. So you kind of got to check all the solder and go through it. But this transformer is heavy, and they are known for breaking up out of the board and coming loose. So that's some of the things that you want to go to when you first get into the telephone, when you know the telephone has been dropped. And it's not a bad idea to check things like that, even if you didn't think it got dropped, because those components are heavier and they tend to break away from the board, and that can be your problem right there. So anyway, let's get the battery. I'm gonna put the battery in this telephone real quick, and we're gonna check this telephone out. And after the video, what I'll do is I'm going to secure all the screws and go back through the telephone and make sure that everything is exactly the way we want it, and tighten everything up. And it's a little hard to show everything on the video, so we're going to hang the telephone up now. There's a little hook switch right here on the belly of the whale, and that's our hook switch that hangs up when it sits in its stand. So now let's do this. Let's go over to the analyzer, and let's plug in the line, and let's ring the whale. Should have dial tone, and then I'm going to dial the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 star 0 pound. I'm going to hang the telephone up. I'm going to hit redial. And it redialed. Remember, we didn't have redial in the first video. And then I'm going to talk into the telephone. Every time you see that red light when I talk, that's a modulation indicator on the analyzer, and that shows 100% modulation every time that light lights. So we're right on track with this telephone. We're right where we want to be, and I'm going to let this telephone, I'm going to hang it up, and I'm going to ring this telephone again. And there's a red light that you may not be able to see that lights right here. And the unit only has, will only make a sound for so long, and then it will take a break and come back on if you haven't answered the phone. Dial tone. Let's hit redial. So it's doing everything that we want it to do now, and the telephone looks like it's in good shape, and we are finished with this telephone. And I have to tell you, I really had a whale of a time working on this telephone for Helen from Florida. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you and goodbye now.